All right, let's be real for a second. Have you ever woken up, looked at your life, and thought, is this it? Like you're just going through the motions, ticking boxes, but there's this nagging emptiness, this feeling of being completely adrift, even when everything on paper looks fine. Maybe you're crushing it at work, got the cool apartment, maybe even a solid routine. But inside, it feels like your internal compass just broke. You're just moving, but with no real destination in mind, no North Star. It's that subtle, insidious feeling of being lost, not in a geographical sense, but deep down where it really matters. But here's the kicker, and this is what really threw me for a loop. It's not because you're lazy or unmotivated or even that you don't care enough. No, most of us do care, deeply. We care about making an impact, about living a life that means something. The real gut punch is we're often playing a game without a map, stumbling around hoping to trip over purpose. And the truth? The best way to find your path isn't to try harder to see through the fog, but to step back, admit you're lost, and start drawing your own damn map from the inside out. That's what I had to do, and trust me, it's a game changer. I remember a time, not too long ago, when that feeling of being lost was my constant companion. I was hitting all the milestones society tells us to hit. Good job, decent income, trying to stay fit, you know the drill. Yet every morning felt like a rerun, every evening a blur of Netflix and scrolling. It wasn't despair exactly, more like a dull, persistent gray. I'd try new hobbies, jump into new projects, thinking a new external pursuit would magically ignite something. Spoiler alert, it didn't. It just added more noise to an already cluttered internal landscape. I was constantly searching outside myself, convinced purpose was some mythical treasure chest hidden under a rock just waiting to be stumbled upon. The first real shift came when I hit a wall, a complete burnout, actually. I was so exhausted from trying to find purpose that I just stopped. And in that stillness, that forced pause, I realized something profoundly simple. I wasn't just lost, I was disconnected. Disconnected from my own thoughts, my own feelings, even my own body. I was so busy chasing what I thought I should want, I forgot to ask myself what I actually wanted, what truly resonated with me. So the very first step on my map-making journey wasn't about finding a grand mission. It was about a radical act of self-observation. I started with what I call the Unplug and Observe exercise. For a few days, or even just a few hours if that's all you can manage, consciously pull away from the distractions. Put the phone down, turn off the TV, pause the podcast, and just observe. What excites you? Even a little flicker. What drains your energy the moment you think about it? Don't judge these feelings. Don't try to fix them. Just notice them, like a quiet scientist observing his subject. This wasn't about finding an instant answer. It was about clearing the fog, laying the groundwork, so you could finally see the road ahead, or at least the general direction. Once I had a clearer, albeit still blurry picture of my current internal landscape, it was time to dream a little, but with intent. This is where I started to sketch the horizon line of my map. I picked up a pen and paper, old school I know, but there's something powerful about physical writing, and I wrote a letter, not to anyone else, but to my future self. I imagined myself 5, maybe 10 years down the line. What had I achieved? What kind of person had I become? What experiences had I gathered? What mark had I left, even a small one? It wasn't about being realistic or practical at this stage. It was about letting my imagination run wild, free from the shackles of current limitations. I wrote about the kind of legacy I wanted, the kind of relationships I wanted, the kind of impact I hoped to make. This future self letter wasn't just a wish list. It became my North Star, a clear destination on my map that I could start navigating towards. But a destination without a compass is still just a good intention, right? That's where the second crucial step came in, identifying my core values. I realized my previous lostness often stemmed from living a life misaligned with what truly mattered to me. So I asked myself, what are the 3 to 5 things I absolutely unequivocally would not compromise on? Is it integrity, freedom, impact, learning, connection, creativity? It took some soul-searching, some digging through past experiences where I felt most alive or most miserable to pinpoint these. For me, it boiled down to genuine connection, continuous growth, and creating meaningful impact. Once I had those, everything started to click into place. It was like piecing together a puzzle, where each piece wasn't just a goal, but a reflection of who I wanted to be, grounded in what I truly believed. This wasn't about finding my purpose, it was about defining my purpose, based on my deepest values and my highest aspirations. It was empowering, truly. Now, with a clearer destination in mind and a sturdy compass in hand, it was time to actually start walking. But here's the thing. You don't need to take giant leaps. In fact, that's often where we get stuck, feeling overwhelmed by the sheer size of the journey. Instead, I focused on what I call micro actions. What's one tiny, ridiculously small thing I can do today that aligns with my future self or reinforces one of my core values? If continuous growth was a value, it might be reading one page of a book or watching one educational video. If genuine connection was important, it might be sending a thoughtful text to a friend or having a meaningful conversation with my partner. These aren't grand gestures, they're almost laughably small, but the magic is in the consistency. Each micro-action, each tiny step created a ripple. It built momentum. It wasn't about finding a grand purpose overnight, it was about building it, brick by brick, habit by habit, until a path began to emerge from the fog. And yes, there were still days, many days, when the fog would roll back in, where I'd feel that familiar pang of doubt, that whisper of, what am I even doing? That's okay. The map isn't a one-time use item. It's a living document, a tool you refine, adjust, and consult. Feeling lost sometimes is part of being human. The difference now is you have a method to find your way back, to reorient yourself. So if you've been feeling lost, like that compass inside you is spinning wildly, please know you're not alone. And more importantly, know that the map to your purpose isn't some secret blueprint held by a guru. It's waiting to be drawn by you from the incredible depths of your own being. It won't be perfect, it won't be linear, but it will be authentically yours. So what's one small step, one micro action you're going to take today to start drawing your map? Share it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your struggles, and your tiny triumphs. And if this resonated with you, if it sparked even a tiny flicker of recognition or hope, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more conversations like this. Let's build our maps together, step by tiny step. Remember, the journey to purpose is a continuous adventure, and every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to the incredible purpose-driven person you're meant to be. Keep exploring.